A 7-night Caribbean cruise cost about $1,400 for a couple. By the time you walked off the ship, you'll have spent $5,000. That gap is the entire business model. 3 companies in Miami have spent 60 years building a machine designed to do exactly that. And most of the people who buy a cruise ticket have no idea how it works. When you shop for a cruise, you think you are comparing 10 brands. You are actually comparing 3. Carnival Corporation owns 9 of them, Royal Caribbean owns another 6, and Norwegian owns 3 more. Add it up and the 3 corporations control over 75% of global cruise capacity and pulled in more than 37 billion last year. Carnival takes 42% of the world's cruise market, Royal Caribbean 27%, and Norwegian 9%. Everyone else, MCS, Disney, Viking, every smaller line you could name, fights over what's left. All 3 headquarters sit within 20 miles of each other in Miami, operated in the same city through the same port. 40 years of mergers took an industry with dozens of independent cruise lines and crushed it into 3. Now the physical cost of getting into the business has climbed so high that no one can break in. Market share is set up. The real move is what sitting on 3/4 of war lets them do to you the moment you hand over the boarding pass. Because your ticket isn't where the money is. Your cruise ticket costs about $200 a day. And for the cruise line, that number barely covers the cost of carrying you around. The ticket pays for fuel, port fees, cabin maintenance, and the salaries of more than 2,000 people working on the ship. A German economist named Michael Vogel went through Carnival and Royal Caribbean's financial filings and concluded in one line, ticket prices are rarely or not cost covering. The cruise lines know this. They price tickets low on purpose, because the ticket isn't the product. The ticket is the ticket to the product. The product starts the second you walk up the gangway. Once you are on the ship, you can't leave. For 7 days, you are inside a closed economy, where every transaction goes through a plastic card linked to your cabin. No cash, no receipts you look at twice. No pause to think whether a $14 cocktail by the pool is worth it. You tap, they charge, the bill prints at the end of the week. And the numbers add up fast. Norwegian Cruise Line reported that in 2024, the average passenger spent $127 a day on board. That's on top of the ticket. That's coffee, cocktails, a spa session, the casino, a specialty restaurant, Wi-Fi, a short excursion. Every hour of your vacation sends you to another upsell. Now do the math. Let's say your ticket $1,200. Your onboard spending about $1,200, total damage per person upwards of $2,000. A couple books a 7-night Caribbean cruise that looks like $1,400 on the booking page, walks off having spent thousands and generally feels like they got a deal. The gap between what you thought it costs and what actually costs, that's the business. And the companies running this trick pay less tax on the profit than you do on your paycheck, which is a separate trick, and it deserves its own chapter. The ship you're on isn't American, neither is the company running it. Carnival Corporation is incorporated in Panama. Royal Caribbean is incorporated in Liberia. Norwegian is incorporated in Bermuda. All 3 have their real offices in Miami. All 3 employ thousands of Americans. All 3 take your dollars at the terminal. All 3 trade on the New York Stock Exchange. On paper, none of them are American companies. The legal machinery is public and boring. A clause called Section 883 says foreign shipping companies don't owe US federal income tax as long as their home country gives the same treatment to American ships. Panama does, Liberia does, Bermuda does. So the 3 biggest cruise companies in the world pay almost nothing in US corporate tax. How little? Carnival's effective tax rate last year was about 6%. Some years it has been under 1%. The US corporate rate is 21%. Walmart pays 21%, Apple pays 15%, Carnival pays 6%. That tax rate is lower than what most Americans pay on their own paycheck. And the setup is 100 years old. In the 1920s, American ship owners wanted to keep serving alcohol during Prohibition, so they reflagged their boats to Panama, where US booze laws didn't apply. Prohibition ended in 1933, the reflagging never did. A workaround designed to sell whiskey on a deck in 1925 is still saving the cruise industry billions of dollars in 2026. The arrangement got awkward fast in 2020. COVID shut the cruise industry down. The three companies went to Washington asking for a bailout. They argued they employed Americans, sailed from American ports, and earned American dollars. Washington said no, you don't get to claim you're Liberian on the tax return and American on the bailout form. So Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian raised $60 billion on the private debt markets instead. They're still paying it down. So how do they actually pull this off? How do they run a massive business out of Miami, charge American passengers, and hand almost nothing to the IRS? The answer is in the physical structure of the industry itself, and it's designed so no one else can copy it. Say you have $2 billion and a good idea for a cruise line, you'd still lose. Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, cost $2 billion and took 900 days to build. It was constructed at a place called 𝐬𝐻𝐵𝐻𝐿𝐵, a shipyard in Finland. 𝐬𝐻𝐵𝐻𝐵 is one of only 4 shipyards on planet Earth that can build a cruise ship this size. The others are in Germany, Italy, and France, 4 shipyards, whole world. And all 4 are booked out, with orders from Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian until roughly 2030. That's the first wall. The second one is labor. The median crew member on a Carnival or Royal Caribbean ship earned about $15,000 in 2022. That number comes straight from the company's SEC filings. It's about a third of what an American hospitality worker makes for the same work. The crew is drawn from the Philippines, Indonesia, India, and Eastern Europe. They work 6 to 11-month contracts, 7 days a week, no days off, and sleep in shared cabins below the waterline. The cruise industry's own trade association admits that 100 people apply for every single job opening on a ship. The labor market runs on desperation, and the wages reflect it. The reason any of this is legal is the flag on the back of the ship. Only one major cruise ship in the world, the Pride of America, is actually registered in the United States. Every other ship run by Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian out of American ports flies the flag of the Bahamas, Panama, Bermuda, or Malta. 90% of ships calling at US ports fly foreign flags. US minimum wage doesn't apply. US labor law doesn't apply. US working hour limits don't apply. So here's the full setup. 4 shipyards in Europe, booked for years. 500,000 workers willing to work $15,000 a year. A ship registration trick that puts the whole operation outside American law. And a tax code that lets them send almost nothing to the IRS. You can't replicate this from scratch. You can't even buy your way in. That's why it's 3 companies. And that's why it'll stay 3 companies. If you're a passenger, the lesson is small and useful. The ticket price on the booking page is a down payment, not a final price. Add 50 to 100% on top of whatever number you see, and that's your real cost. A cruise that looks like $1,400 for a couple usually lands somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 by the time you walk off. That's the product working as designed. If you're watching this as an investor, the picture looks different. 3 companies, all sitting inside 20 miles of each other in Miami, control 75% of a global market that brought in over $37 billion last year. Their cost structure is locked behind 4 shipyards, 500,000 workers, and a century-old tax exemption. Passenger counts are already past 2019 numbers. The $60 billion in pandemic debt is being paid down. These are cash machines with a moat. And nobody can get in, not with money, not with a brand, not with a business plan. The shipyard bottleneck alone means any new entrant is 5 to 7 years behind day one. The labor arbitrage depends on 500,000 people willing to work for $15,000 a year. People you can find but not replicate as a new competitor. The tax structure depends on 100 years of legal precedent that no newcomer can recreate at scale. So the next time you walk up a cruise gangway, look around. The steel was welded in Finland. The room steward is on a 9-month contract from the Philippines. The company charging your credit card is headquartered in Miami, but pays tax in Panama. The plastic card around your wrist is about to track everything you do for the next 7 days. You booked a vacation. You're about to spend a week inside one of the most tightly engineered revenue machines in the world.